Let me click that so we can see that better. Action.
Hey now. Hello all, I'm Wadabra. Welcome back to Adastra. In the last episode, Marco and Cassius went on a drug trip and met the Monitor, who informed Marco that humanity wasn't just abandoned by the wolves, but by all the siblings, and that humanity's time to factor into the Galaxius begins now, with him. As it turns out, the wolves are in danger of compromising the entire Galaxius, and Marco is the one that they've chosen to continue what Mira started thousands of years ago. And it all starts by putting Amicus back on the throne. When Marco asks for guidance, they simply tell him to watch the cat. So he does, and with Neferu's help, Alex has his mask-off moment and admits to being an Amorphan spy, though his motives are still unclear. That's the recap. Remember to like and share this video to help me appease the almighty YouTube algorithm. And do us both a favor and subscribe to the channel, damn it. Honestly, with the amount of time it takes me to make these things, how do you expect to know when the next one comes out? Do you really trust the algorithm that much? I wouldn't if I were you. Just saying. And as always, content warnings and a link to my Patreon can be found in the description below. Let's get started. Three days later, Alex is able to gain full access to the archives. He doesn't explain to us how he did it, instead simply notifying Neferu of the specific time he'd open up the archives for us, and to be ready. I don't have to argue to come along this time. Instead, Virginia tells me that I'll need to go if we're to erase my profile from the palace's database. Doing this will allow me to leave the palace without being killed by Com. Just another last resort in case things go bad. Neferu stays behind this time, deciding it to be best, considering he's not exactly needed for what we're about to do. Alex walks stiffly ahead of us, not speaking or really acknowledging us in any way. I find it unnerving after knowing the cat for so long, though Virginia doesn't seem bothered at all. We walk to a portion of the palace that I haven't been to very often, mostly because I was never shown the area. Alex comes to a door that he presses his hand to, and unlike the other black panels, this one flashes a green color before the door opens. We walk inside the room, and I get my first look at the archive. I guess I'd expected rows of bookshelves, full of some type of digital storage, or whatever the wolves might use. Instead, I'm greeted by the sight of a giant blue glowing sphere with a honeycomb pattern covering its surface. What's most striking about it, though, is the swirling characters that appear and disappear just over the surface. They're symbols I don't recognize, not any that I've seen on Adastra before. Sitting in front of the floating sphere are two stone dragons, mouths open in silent snarls. Alex seems to be in a hurry as he walks up to the globe. Without hesitation, he sticks his paw into the swirling blue, and the characters and swirls seem to congregate around it before the whole thing pulses. This seems to satisfy the cat as he turns away.
That should give you full access. You're on your own from here.
With that, the cat leaves. I watch him disappear out the door, for the first time feeling a bit sad at how our relationship has changed. Virginia remains unbothered though, walking up to the blue sphere as I follow. I stand there awkwardly for a moment before clearing my throat. So, what is this thing?
The archive.
Yeah, but it looks...
It's parental, yes. And no, I don't know how it works. It was also used as a method of communication with the parents before they ceased contact, hence the meditation pillow.
Virginia gestures at the pillow before she leans forward slightly, a streak of blue light wrapping around her head briefly before she leans back.
It connects to the host's brain, similar to the lingua, and operates on mind control.
Wow.
Yes, I haven't used it often, but it's fairly easy to control. You'll find out soon enough.
Oh. I feel a bit nervous, but Virginia focuses back on the blue globe. Suddenly, a small screen appears over the sphere, and I see what looks like the amphitheater.
What day was the final trial?
I'm about to answer when suddenly Virginia just waves me into silence, focusing on the screen again. I see the scene change to a bloody sunset, and I feel the exact same anxiety I'd felt that day as I see Cato and Amicus appear on screen, followed by me and Cassius. The angle is high, and the scene is a bit distant, probably from the palace, but I can make everyone out clearly. Cassius strips and hurries down the steps to the amphitheater, and I want to look away, but don't as Cato turns on Amicus and punches him in the face. Virginia's reaction is small but noticeable, clearly surprised by Cato's brutality. What follows is the awkward staged posing and the pin. Then the footage of me using the Nervo on Cassius. This is followed by Amicus tearing off Cato's visor. After that, I run off screen, and I get to watch as drones descend on Amicus, and he suddenly goes limp as they, I assume, stun him. Virginia watches all of this with an open mouth, until Amicus is escorted away, and Cato is picked up by a small ship that lands in the middle of the amphitheater. Then she shakes her head.
Males.
Virginia sighs out in frustration as the screen fades. So you got the footage?
I've filed it away to a domain accessible by both me and Neferu. We'll figure out a way to use it delicately.
And the investigation into the crash? This is something that I'd brought up with Virginia and Neferu before we came here, even though both seemed skeptical that it would be useful in any way. That even Cato wouldn't be so devious as to kill his own friend, a friend that happened to be the Emperor. Even now, Virginia sighs as if it's an annoying inconvenience, but focuses for a moment until she seems satisfied.
Done. All documents related to the investigation are now in the same location. We'll go over it later. Well, at least you and Neferu can.
Well, that was easy.
What did you expect? Parental tech makes everything fast and easy.
Yeah, I suppose.
So, are you ready to use it?
I think so. Virginia smiles at me.
Don't worry, it's easy. Simply keep your mind clear of anything except your objective, your profile, and how it should be wiped clean from the archive.
My profile? I try to think up how I should imagine a profile, but Virginia stops me.
You're already thinking too much. Just this. Your profile. Wipe it from the archives.
I swallow hard, but allow Virginia to gently push me forward until one of the tendrils touches my head. It's a cool feeling at first, then suddenly my body seizes up involuntarily as it feels like my entire brain twitches.
Keep focused on your objective.
My profile. Gone. My profile. Erase it. My profile. Delete from the archives. A dagger. Screams. Pain. Blood. Hissing breath. Spurting red. Absolute anguish.
Marco? No, please. Don't leave me here. Please, come back to me. You can't leave me to be alone like this.
Amicus screams right into my ear, and I've never heard him sound like this before. It's horrible, and I know I need to comfort him, to tell him I'm not leaving, but my voice is gone, and air hisses from my throat. Oh no. Speak to me. Speak to me. Amicus's voice raises in pitch, panicking, becoming desperate. Then it all stops. You can prevent this. But only if you submit yourself to the benevolent will of the perils. Will you? I gasp and pull back, head reeling. I feel soft but strong paws grip me around the shoulders.
Are you all right?
I look around, wide-eyed, feeling almost sick as that weird feeling of control in my brain suddenly leaves. I don't know what to say, and Virginia glances back at the sphere.
Might not be suited to a simian brain. Com?
Yes, Virginia.
Locate Marco's profile.
There is no such profile archived.
Well, you did it at least. Let's get you back to Neferu's room.
We walk through the halls, Virginia having to help because of my unsteady feet. I'm stunned, feeling as if I'd just come up from another drug trip. But it's not what I felt, or even the visions of violence that have me shaken up. It's Amicus's screams of despair that linger in my head. I have to see him as soon as possible. I have to make sure he's all right. You smell so good. Amicus has me pinned to the floor on the little blanket that I brought with me. He's smothering me with his big body, grinding down against me as he licks and nips at my neck. I haven't even been here for more than a minute. Wait, what if Com sees? I gasp around the licks, and Amicus responds by holding my head in his giant paws, keeping me steady as he starts to push his hips against me, his thighs forcing my legs upward. Amicus mumbles into my throat. Then let him watch. Com isn't watching, as far as I know. Somehow I'd been able to convince Cassius to give us more privacy. Actually, I think I just grossed him out when I'd asked, wrinkling his nose as he instructed Com to keep the drone at the top of the ladder this time. At that moment, I feel the wolf's hard length pressing at my ass, and even though I'm in my underwear and robes, I pull back. Whoa, not now, Amicus! Amicus goes on nuzzling me, moving to my face and locking lips with me for several seconds, while he continues to push his hips against me. He finally pulls back a little. I know, I'm just playing around a little. I've been down here too long. I love you. Everything about you. Clearly. That's all I'm able to say before he starts to kiss me again, licking and sucking. And I'm at least glad that it tastes like they're providing him with that mouthwash stuff down here. I've never seen Amicus so horny before, which is saying something. His paws gripping and stroking at me almost desperately as he muzzles and kisses every inch of my neck and face. He pushes his body down against mine, his considerable chest and belly crushing me flat against the ground. But when his muzzle starts dipping down lower, snuffling against my chest and under my robes, I decide that I've had enough. I reach around to grab his upraised rear, getting a handful of thick, furry ass as my fingers squeeze dangerously close to that spot under his tail. Predictably, Amicus gasps in surprise and pulls back, quickly sitting up so that his rear is safely pressed against the blanket, and I have room to finally sit up myself.
What was that for?
For not letting me catch my breath. And I know you don't like things near your butt.
Well, emperors shouldn't have things near their butt.
I roll my eyes at his silly but understandable insecurity and crawl up to Amicus to sit in his lap, the wolf eagerly pulling me in.
I love you.
I love you too. Amicus rubs his paws up and down my arms and shoulders, still just feeling me out.
I can't wait to get out of here. No more hiding when I'm emperor. I'm going to show you the real Adastra. Being stuck behind these walls is not how the emperor's beautiful lover should be treated.
I touch back, pressing my hands over his paws and resting my head against his chest, listening to the rumble of his voice. Oh? And what's the real Adastra? Amicus pulls his paw away for just a moment to wave it dismissively before returning it to press against my cheek.
These politics. It doesn't represent the moon's true face. I need to take you to the other cities and landscapes. The people are vastly different too, from region to region.
I listened to him contentedly for a few minutes, happy to just hear him speak again, reminded of how easy it is for us to just talk to each other. And we actually have time to talk. Kato is in a different city on official business, so Cassius had granted us at least a little more time than the last visit. Amicus rocks back and forth as I pet the fur on his chest, listening to his heartbeat. It's clear that they allow him to bathe down here, but the lack of any perfume leaves only the slight smell of his natural musk. While I miss the lavender smell I'm used to, I don't mind the masculine scent he's giving off, especially after our little reunion just now. I want to sit here forever, feeling completely calm and safe for the first time this week. I know it has to end, though. There's just so much to tell my wolf. So I pull back, looking up at Amicus's face. Amicus?
Yes?
I need to talk to you about something.
Go on.
Amicus leans down, pressing his nose against my hair and inhaling deeply. It's about the parents, I think. I need to talk to you about something they showed me. The snuffling in my hair pauses as Amicus absorbs what I'd just said.
The parents?
Yeah.
The parents?
I sigh, wondering if I'm going to have just as much trouble convincing Amicus of this as I did with everyone else. Amicus seems to sense my frustration and hugs me a little tighter.
Hey, I'm just surprised. I believe you. I have no reason not to.
He nuzzles my head again.
Did they come to you in a dream, or?
Sort of. I tell Amicus what happened in the hallway in front of the meditation room.
What?
I push through his shocked exclamations and go on to describe the dreams I'd been having as well.
What? But why wouldn't you tell me this?
I forgot about them as soon as I woke up. I didn't remember until after what happened with Cassius.
Well...
I feel Amicus's chest puff up with pride.
Sounds like I really am meant to be emperor, eh?
That's what they said. But you know what else this means? The monitors know I'm here. They're okay with it. So I guess it's not really even illegal, right? There's a pause.
I mean, it may have been just a dream, but it's nice to hear nevertheless. Also, stay away from that room. While I find it funny that Cassius is using Somni to make contact, I'd rather you not use it.
Amicus kisses the top of my head, and I let out a sigh of exasperation. I didn't do it on purpose. And you said you'd believe me. Amicus lets out a chuckle that rumbles through his torso and into my back. It's a comforting feeling, and despite my annoyance, I find myself pressing deeper against him.
I believe that you saw these things, but who can say if it was real or not? Sometimes I have dreams of entities that I believe are the parents, but I don't necessarily believe that it actually is them.
I'm quiet for a moment, letting the silence drag out. I know Amicus well enough at this point that he's got his ears pointed up, waiting for me to respond. Trust me, like seriously, you need to trust me on this, Amicus. Amicus spends his own moment being quiet, resting his cheek against my head, contemplating. Do you trust me? There's only a short pause.
All right, yes, I do trust you.
There's a sense of conviction in his voice, and I can tell that he really is determined to believe me. Thank you, but I only say that because of something else that happened.
What was that?
I take a deep breath. Amicus, sensing my anxiety, suddenly turns me in his lap to face him, letting me lay my head against his chest as he pets the side of my face.
Hey, you can tell me anything, Marco. Like I said, I believe you.
He says it even more firmly this time, tipping his muzzle down to look at me as I look up at him, meeting eyes. All right, so I was in the archives with Virginia yesterday. Amicus's eyes widen.
The archives? What were you doing in there?
And this reminds me that I also need to tell Amicus about what we've been plotting this past week. I'll tell you in a bit, but something happened when I was hooked up to the machine.
You connected with it? Why would...
In a bit. Anyway, while I was hooked up, I had another vision from the parents. Amicus thinks.
Well, I suppose that would make more sense, considering that's the way the Emperor speaks with them. But it's only the Emperor they speak to.
Yeah, well, for whatever reason, they started talking to me. Actually, you started talking to me.
Me?
I think so. You were like, yelling, telling me that you didn't want me to leave you.
Oh, well, that does sound like something I would say in such a situation.
But you sounded really scared and sad, and I felt like I couldn't breathe. My throat hurt and just felt weird. Amicus seems to contemplate all of this, but doesn't say anything more. I start to get frustrated, but I realize that I can't really expect him to offer more information that I don't already know. I guess I had hoped that he would have more insight into why parents do things the way they do. But really, I'm on my own figuring this all out. I sigh and lean my head against the wolf's chest.
Hey, what's wrong? I'm sure you'll be fine. The parents are very mysterious. My father had several visions he had trouble interpreting.
I feel like something bad is going to happen. Like really bad. And I don't know what it is that I should do to stop it.
Did they give you any guidance at all?
They just said to give in to their benevolent will or something like that. Amicus gently pushes me back so that he can look at me directly before he smiles softly.
Well, there's your answer. The parents only want what is best for all of us. Just follow their guidance. Keep your mind and heart open to them, and all will turn out as it should.
Those sentences wouldn't be out of place during a sermon in a church on Earth, and I'm reminded again how these parents really are seen as gods. It's a comforting thought that I could just do as they say and be just fine, made all the more comfortable by Amicus's smile and confidence in the matter. but there's this nagging feeling in the back of my mind that there's more to the parents than the wolves seem to know. I lower my voice a bit. I just don't know if I trust them. Amicus laughs, and that actually does annoy me. Hey, I'm serious. There's something off about all of this. Like, the way they're going about things. If they want me to do something, then they should just tell me instead of showing me scary visions. Amicus forces himself to stop laughing and clears his throat, trying to look serious.
I'm sorry, Marco. I just sometimes forget that you are outside the Galaxius and aren't accustomed to these things. The parents are nothing but benevolence and goodwill. We all feel their guidance in our lives, even if we're not able to speak to them directly like the Emperor. The fact that you're able to do so is an incredible honor. You should be happy, not worried.
Amicus strokes my hair. Yeah, but don't you think me being an outsider gives me a different perspective on all of this? What if they aren't what they say they are?
They are, and have no reason not to be.
Amicus's voice becomes more firm, and I can tell that he's starting to become uncomfortable with my questions.
My advice to you? Listen to them. They will help you, and maybe even figure out a way to get us out of this mess. Besides, it's a great relief to know that you may be here for a reason. I'm starting to think I was meant to find you.
Amicus hugs me again. I decide to not press further. I love and trust Amicus, but he's clearly on board with anything to do with the parents, and I doubt I'd be able to make him question that. Not that I really want to anyway. I just worry that I'm being led down a path that I really don't want to go down.
Oh, Marco.
Amicus, clearly sensing my continued anxiety, pulls me forward to kiss me. I kiss back, and it feels good, even though my stomach continues to churn.
10 minutes remaining, Marco.
Amicus and I sigh in unified frustration.
Want to have a little fun before you go?
I look down, and I'm kind of amazed to see that he still has a boner, which makes me wonder how much he'd really been engaged in our conversation. I have to tell you, I catch myself and lower my voice. What we've been doing to get you out.
You can do that. And other things at the same time.
Amicus tries not to look too eager. I roll my eyes, but press my hand against his chest and draw it slowly down the wolf's front, over the curve of his stomach. He immediately moans quietly as I reach the lower part of his abdomen, and I see the bulge jump in his underwear as his hips thrust up a bit. I laugh at his eagerness, and I have to admit that it's kind of nice to have something more lighthearted to do while I discuss all of these troubling issues with my wolf. For the next little while, I walk around the gardens, taking advantage of the mild weather. I've noticed it's become cooler and less humid over the past week, which is nice. Apparently this is as cold as it gets on this part of Adastra though, and it never snows. I sigh and sit on a bench, thinking back on my meeting with Amicus just an hour ago. It had been easier to say goodbye to the wolf this time, especially now that I know Cassius is willing to let us see each other as much as is possible. That being whenever Kato is out, which is good, because he's gone a lot of the time doing his official business, or whatever. Amicus, once again, has recommended I distance myself from the plotting, so as not to get caught up if we get exposed. I reassure him, even though I know I'm going to do whatever it takes to see this through, even if that means I will have to put myself in danger. Just yesterday, Cassius, or Kato, banned all talk of Amicus on Adastra, which Neferu told me only caused the rumors to really start flying. They ranged from Amicus being imprisoned, true, banished, or even executed. This is good for us, I'm told, because the public, whether they liked Amicus or not, generally doesn't feel he should be struck from existence just because he lost the emperorship. In other words, the people will likely be on our side when we finally reveal everything. Hopefully. And that's really all we can rely on, considering the emperor holds so much power, even if the way it was achieved was illegitimate. The triumvirates barely check the emperor's power, so unless the people as a whole come together, it would be difficult to remove Cassius from the throne. If Cassius still refuses to step down, our options will be very limited, and most probably won't turn out well for me, or anyone here that's not part of the family. Still, Cassius is proud, very proud. Neferu and Virginia think he'll either step down, or at least accept combat to go out with honor. Hopefully the first, because I really don't know how Amicus would deal with the idea of having to kill his own brother. I sigh and lean back on the bench, really getting frustrated with all of this political bullshit. This had been the exact type of thing Cassius wanted to get rid of, but now it seems worse than ever. Just as I'm thinking this, I see Alex. He's just up the path, standing right in the middle of it. And he's looking right at me. I give a start, then just stare back at him. He doesn't move, just goes on looking at me, and I start to wonder what the hell he's doing. He doesn't have his usual smile on either, and as a soft breeze blows through the leaves of the foliage, I start to feel like I'm in some kind of horror movie. Actually, now that I know who he really is, I do start to feel a little concerned about what he's capable of. So I decide to act casual and stand up, raising a hand and walking over to the cat. Hey, Alex.
Alexios will do, Marco.
Okay. Hi, Alexios.
Ahotep be with you, Marco.
What?
I feel things should be more formal between us from now on. That is all.
No, I mean, why that greeting? I'd heard Neferu use it many times, but no one else.
You are a Chemian, are you not?
That gives me pause. Oh, yeah, I guess I am. The cat smirks.
Odd. You seem to have forgotten your own citizenship.
I shrug. Still getting used to it.
I mean, it's something that even some siblings desire, not to mention children, or even the uncontacted.
I raise an eyebrow. That's so.
Certainly. Who wouldn't want to be part of the most spoiled civilization in the galaxy?
I sigh, still tired from thinking about all of this political maneuvering. Playing games with Alexios is the last thing I want to do right now. Cut the bullshit, Alex. What do you want?
Excuse me?
You're excused. I walk past the cat, listening to him sputter in surprise.
You have some nerve to talk to a sibling like that.
I frown, glancing back. What's that supposed to mean?
You're not even a child, yet you throw your weight around here like you're the most important person in the palace?
I laugh, loud. Are you fucking kidding me? All of you assholes have been throwing me around with all your plots and fake niceties. I'm just trying to survive. Also, last I checked, Chemians are all equal, so I don't really give a shit if you're a sibling. Alex looks completely taken aback, which is completely satisfying. And haven't you always implied that the wolves are fucked up for looking down on their children and treating them like slaves? Alex coughs to clear his throat.
My apologies. I simply lost my temper for a moment. You were just being a bit rude.
Or maybe deep down, you're just as speciest or whatever as the wolves, even though you try to pretend you're not. Neferu's the same way. Even I'm surprising myself a little. It's like the lid is finally blown off, and I'm just using Alex to vent all of my frustrations with this place.
What has gotten into you, Marco?
There's a long pause, and I finally sigh, rubbing my face. Sorry, I think I'm losing my mind here. For the first time in a while, I see the cat crack a genuine smile.
I can tell you then that you're not meant to be a diplomat.
Definitely not. For a moment, I feel that old familiar relationship I had with the cat, not even a few weeks ago. I do believe that in any other situation, in one where we're not all spies, Alex and I could have been really good friends. I know that can't be the case now, though, so I stop smiling and look Alexios right in the eye. But seriously, what do you want? I can tell you're trying to get something out of me. Alex becomes serious too, smile fading. He considers me for a long while, probably realizing that I'm not going to play his little game.
All right, Marco. Who are you? I know you're not an abandoned child. What is it that you want? And what are you doing here?
So you want to know everything?
Yes.
And why should I tell you? Alex smirks.
Why be blunt if we're going to play the game anyway, Marco?
I'm just curious as to why you're so curious. I hardly matter in all of this.
That is a complete lie. Everything has changed here since you arrived. This is why I want to know.
But why does it matter that you know?
I am an important link between Omorpha and Adastra. It is my job to know what is happening in this empire.
Uh-huh. So who told you I'm uncontacted? Cassius?
You've deduced correctly. But I also know that the monitors seem to approve of it, which is rather odd.
I shrug. Again, I don't know what's going on. Anyway, I don't see why I'd tell you anything if I don't know anything about you.
Why, I'm just a simple pet. I don't know anything that's going on.
His tone of voice tells me that he's mocking me. I raise an eyebrow, but don't say anything. Alex sighs.
The simplest way I can explain it is that I'm trying to maintain peace in the Galaxius as a whole. That mainly involves watching the motives of the wolves.
Why is that?
Because they can be dangerous.
Okay. Are none of the other siblings dangerous?
Marco, Adastra is the only civilization in the galaxy to wage war on another sibling in over 10 millennia. And they were the perpetrators in the previous war as well. Not only that, but they waged war on an almost parent-level civilization. They're suicidal, and I can't imagine why the Chemians want an alliance with them.
I think. Do you not want the alliance to happen? This seems to go against what Alex would want. I thought he wanted Amicus to take the throne.
I want the Galaxius to remain safe. Is the alliance something you want to happen?
I frown, wondering why he's asking me. I mean, to me it seems like it would create peace. So yeah. Alex's eyes narrow, like he's figured something out. What? do you want the wolves to stay isolated?
I just want order. The wolves have none of that.
The silence stretches on between us.
I suppose you're still not going to tell me anything about yourself then.
I didn't say I would, and there really isn't much to tell.
How about this? How did you secure Chemian citizenship? That's not something that's just given out to children who are presumed to belong to wolves.
The question takes me by surprise, though this whole Chemian thing does seem to be what's bothering him most, especially after his greeting. I think, but the truth doesn't seem harmful here. Honestly, it was just to protect me from Cassius. He doesn't really like me, if you haven't noticed. The expression on Alex's face tells me that he definitely doesn't believe me.
Cassius wouldn't harm you unless you did something that deserved it.
He said he wanted to execute me because I backtalked him, and Amicus slapped his nose. Alex's ears flatten.
Cassius says things. He's very passionate.
That's one way to put it. I shift on my feet, starting to get tired of this conversation. Listen, I have nothing against you, Alex. I'm just trying to get through this as much as you are.
Neferu gave you the citizenship, right?
Yeah?
And you're working with him to make the alliance a reality, correct?
That stops me. What? No, I'm focused on Amicus right now.
Which is still part of the alliance?
I guess so, but honestly, that's not really my top priority right now.
It is part of your top priority.
I'm getting frustrated, and I start to sidle off toward the palace. Yeah, we established that. Listen, I'm gonna lay down. I'm tired. Alex goes on staring and doesn't say anything. Again, I have nothing against you. I hope that we can just go back to normal in the future once this is over, you know?
Indeed.
With that, Alex turns and walks away up the path, leaving me to stare after him. I decide to ask Neferu about what happened with Alex. I know they had some kind of a relationship going on, so maybe he can enlighten me on the cat's motives. My mouth is already open as I'm walking into the bedroom when I'm hit with a blast of sound. In front of me is Neferu with his back to me, though I can see that he's in his underwear. He's moving fluidly around, arms and paws waving about and pausing at odd angles while his feet slide across the ground, gliding back and forth. At first, I think he's doing some kind of exercise, but then I can hear him singing over the music. It's wordless because it doesn't translate through the lingua, just a sort of howling sound, though very different from the wolves. It's very loud, and it's a wonder I couldn't hear it in the hallway. It doesn't necessarily sound bad, but I can tell Neferu isn't putting much effort into making it sound nice. Still, I feel like I'm walking in on something private, so I consider backing out. Of course, that's when he spins around and immediately spots me standing there in front of the door, my mouth still open. Quickly, I fix my face into a pleasant smile, trying to act casual so I don't embarrass him. Oh hey Neferu, I pause as I see Neferu grinning back at me. I was just... you okay? I have to almost shout over the music. The jackal is swaying back and forth a little bit, almost like he's still dancing.
Oh, Marco! What an incredibly pleasant and joyous surprise!
Thanks? The jackal begins to dance again, facing me this time, though he doesn't sing, thankfully.
Are you okay? Better than I've ever been, my simian friend. What do you think of the music?
Neferu nods at the ceiling.
It's nice. Kinda loud. I'm sorry. I need to hear the sounds from my home every now and then. The wolves have no spice in their music.
The jackal slides his paws sensually over his torso, smoothing the fur down to better accentuate his pecs and abs, his eyes glued to mine. I look around and note the 3 bottles of wine on the bedside table.
Oh, you're drunk. I'm drunk.
Neferu spins in a circle and actually almost loses his balance, something I've never seen him do. I've seen him buzzed before, but he's always managed to keep his composure. But now...
How drunk? Too drunk, but...
Neferu steadies himself against a pillar, leaning and rubbing his head against it.
At the same time, not drunk enough.
I quickly make sure the door is closed behind me before moving closer to the jackal.
Do you need help? What? Do you?
Neferu waves his paw at me.
Wait, come. Pause music.
Pausing dancing amongst the dunes by Hecate.
I need another drink.
Neferu reaches out towards the table, even though it's a good 10 feet away, and I look over to see that one of the bottles is half full. There's a pause, then Neferu opens his eyes, frowning at me.
I said I need another drink, Marco.
And what do you think I'm going to do about that?
You're a slave. You know what to do.
I stare. Excuse me?
You are a slave.
Neferu pokes a finger in my direction with every word.
Don't let the wolves tell you any different. As long as you're here, they're your master.
But you were treating me like a slave just now.
I was making...
Neferu pauses as he makes a strange swallowing, hiccuping sound.
I was making a point, clearly. Sorry, should I simplify my words for you?
The jackal goes on staring at the bottle, as if wondering if it's worth it to make the journey over there. He turns back to me, as if just remembering I was there, though he seems to have trouble focusing his eyes.
Don't worry, Marco. I am just as much a slave as you are. You have the advantage of someday leaving, though.
I move closer, deciding to sit on my bed, while Neferu goes on hugging at the pillar, as if letting go will cause him to fall. You can't leave whenever you want? Neferu chuckles, then guffaws. Another sound I've never heard from him.
You don't understand. I can leave, but I can't leave.
Yeah, I don't think I do understand. Suddenly, Neferu's ears flatten.
You really fucked this up for me. Do you understand that?
I blink. What?
You fucked my life.
This time, Neferu uses his foot to point at me, or really just sort of kicking it in my direction. What the hell are you talking about?
If you hadn't come here, Kata would not have had the excuse to nullify Amicus's emperorship. I would be halfway through negotiating an alliance by now.
Wait, this isn't my fault. I was brought here against my will, Neferu. Neferu makes another deep swallowing sound, then just belches loudly.
Yes, I'm sorry. I forget it's mostly that big idiot's fault.
I feel my temper snap, and I stand up. Now is not the time I wanted to find out that my most important ally actually blames me and my boyfriend for the situation he's in. Hey, I know you're drunk, but I'm not going to listen to you say this shit. You can call me back when you've sobered up and stop feeling sorry for yourself. I start walking toward the door quickly, feeling a little sick at the whole situation. If Neferu really is turning on me, that means the only person I can trust here is in the dungeon. I really would be alone.
Wait.
His voice is so quiet that I'm almost not even sure I'd heard it. I pause, though, looking back over my shoulder. He's still leaned up against the pillar, his ears down, gazing at the ground. I'm about to ask him to repeat himself, but that's when he suddenly lets out a gasp and slides down the pillar to his knees. He crumples on the ground, paws covering his face as he trembles and starts to sob loudly.
I'm so sorry. I don't know what I'm doing.
I stare, open-mouthed, watching the jackal cry for several seconds. Apparently, too drunk means way too drunk. Still, this jackal clearly has a lot of problems that he doesn't tell anyone about. Actually, on this alien moon, he doesn't really have anyone to tell them to. At least, I have Amicus. So, after standing there in stunned silence for a moment, I walk over to Neferu. I stand awkwardly at his side for a moment, watching his broad black-furred shoulders heave up and down before I kneel and rest a hand on his back. I see his ears perk up for a moment in reaction, but otherwise he doesn't say anything. I'm generally not the best at comforting someone, especially when they're crying, but I rub my hand in a circle through his fur. Hey, I get it. This whole thing is really frustrating, but we'll figure this out together. I give the jackal a few minutes to finally calm down. Then I start to pull him up, pushing him in the direction of his bed. He doesn't resist and stumbles up to it before falling face down onto the covers. He wipes his face with a pillow, and while he does that, I quickly grab the wine bottles, moving them to the floor so that they're out of his reach. Finally, Neferu lets out a big, shuddering sigh.
Can you rub my back again? It feels good.
The jackal's voice is stuffy from his clogged nose. Sure. I kneel beside the bed before starting to rub Neferu's back again. He sighs, head turned away from me. I let the silence go on for a while, listening to the jackal sniffling every couple of seconds before I finally speak. So, what happened?
I drank.
Yeah, speaking of which, come, bring us a glass and a pitcher of water, please?
Yes, Marco.
And, take the wine bottles away, too.
Yes, Marco.
No, my precious wolven wine.
Neferu says it in a mock sad voice, but combined with his already sad state, there's not much of a difference. Again, what happened?
I don't know. I suppose I realized how challenging this will all be. I can't say I trust the Wolven people to oust Cassius. They're rather accepting of corrupt officials.
I think, trying to approach this delicately. Is your family making you do this? Like, they won't let you come back unless you cultivate the alliance?
My family doesn't even expect me to accomplish that. But that's why I must do it. If I don't, I might as well be banished.
It seems kind of unfair that they'd put all this on you.
After what I've put them through, it's only fair.
I wait for more of an explanation, but he doesn't go on. So is what Alex said on the island about you and your family true?
More or less.
Again, he doesn't seem interested in talking about it. So I just go on, rubbing his back. Well, we're gonna get Amicus out of the dungeons and onto the throne. I know you don't believe that I've talked to the parents, but I really think I have. And they're on our side. Neferu chuckles. So you'll get that alliance.
I hope so, my friend.
We sit in silence for a long while, and even I start to enjoy the hypnotic motion of rubbing Neferu's furry back in a large spiral motion. My mind wanders back to the cat. And speaking of Alex, I had a weird conversation with him today. I think he thinks we're like conspiring against him or something. Neferu grunts.
Stay away from that cat. He's nothing but trouble.
Well, he kept bringing up the alliance. He seemed to want to know my role in it. Neferu turns his face toward me, his eyes bloodshot, but the tears are dried up at this point.
I assume it had something to do with not wanting the alliance to happen?
Yeah. Neferu takes a deep breath and presses his face into the pillow, letting out a long groan.
All I can say is, don't trust him.
Yeah, definitely not. I just don't really get what he's doing.
Neither do I, and that's why you should stay away from him.
Really? I thought you two, I don't know, talked and did stuff together.
Which didn't shed any light on his motives. Considering the way our relationship has changed, I doubt I'll get any more information from him.
Sure you can't just seduce him again? Neferu cracks a smile.
Last time I tried that, he referred to me as a whore, which isn't exactly inaccurate.
The doors open and a drone glides in, setting water down on the bedside table and fetching the bottles from behind the jackal's bed. Neferu watches it go morosely. I clear my throat, trying to distract him from the departing alcohol. I get what you mean, though. It seems like he favors one side, then the other. I don't get it. Neferu waves his paw.
Best not to worry yourself with him and simply stay away. Orphans are famous for their quirks and seemingly contradictive behavior.
All right. I rub for a while longer, switching hands as my arm starts getting tired. I'm starting to think that the jackal has fallen asleep when he suddenly speaks again, jolting me out of my trance.
We will be revealing our hand to Cassius tomorrow. With any luck, Amicus will be free by the end of the week.
Oh. I'm surprised, finding that hard to take in. I knew this would be coming, but not so soon. How are we going to do that?
Well, we have 3 pieces of information that can help us. The first is the footage from the 3rd trial. Hopefully that will be enough to convince Cassius to step down.
Neferu suddenly shifts and slowly sits up, groaning again before reaching for the pitcher and glass of water.
The second is the footage of Kato attacking me. I'd rather we not have to use that, but if Cassius isn't convinced by the first, then we may have to resort to it.
Neferu drinks deeply from his glass, and I watch him impatiently as he drains the entire thing. And the third? Neferu gasps and leans back, setting the glass down.
Remember your little theory about the previous emperor's accident?
I nod. Alex said the investigation was botched. Neferu glances at me.
The fact that the cat tipped you off is worrying, but it is very odd. The investigation wasn't botched, but rather called off by the acting emperor.
Kato?
Indeed. The investigators were only able to get as far as discovering a possible malicious software installed on the ship's navigation system. Considering the software has to be installed through a port, and that the ship is heavily protected whenever outside the palace, the installation likely would have had to have happened while inside the palace.
So, Kato. Neferu chuckles.
More than likely, yes, but I don't understand why. Kato was good friends with the last emperor, and as far as I can tell, he was supportive of his policies.
Well, how people act on the outside doesn't really seem to matter much around here.
Or anywhere. What convinced me of Kato's involvement, however, is the fact that every single investigator has gone missing since.
What?
Mm-hmm.
I start to feel that icy fear in my chest again. If it is Kato, then he really is ruthless. What I saw happen to that doctor, Felix, could only be a taste of what Kato is capable of.
Unfortunately, because there is no solid evidence linking Kato, I'm afraid it might not be very effective. It could be another last resort, though. Anyway, would you like to go with Virginia to try and convince him with this information?
Really? You've been trying to get me to stay out of the way for the past week.
To keep you safe. But I've noticed that Cassius may have taken a liking to you as of late. You know him to some degree and could use that knowledge to better convince him.
Well, I wouldn't say he likes me, but yeah, I can try.
And as I've said, Virginia will be there to help as well.
I assume you're not going? Neferu smirks.
I am the last person he would want to see while discussing the possible end to his rule. Besides, I know I'm not going to be feeling my best tomorrow. I think I'll stay in bed for once.
Drink more water. Neferu sighs, just sort of looking at the pitcher. I roll my eyes, reaching out to pour him another glass.
Oh, how kind of you.
I'm a slave, right? Neferu winces as he takes the glass from me.
No, you're a Chemian, and I think we'll be very proud to have you.
With that, he once again downs the entire thing. Welcome to the after reading. Let's talk about this thing. So that vision Marco received when he was hooked up to the archives was pretty messed up, right? He's told that he can prevent some sort of tragedy involving himself and Amicus by submitting himself to the will of the parents? That sounds like a threat to me. But before we talk about that specifically, we need to take a look at how Marco and Amicus's relationship has progressed, since the story hinges on their relationship while dedicating less screen time to it. The biggest change is that they're now openly a couple, at least within the walls of the palace. And while they don't see eye to eye on everything, which is to be expected in any relationship, we see that they've become familiar enough with each other that they're now able to navigate their way through much more complicated subjects than they would have been able to before. On the flip side, though, Amicus brushes off Marco's concern about the parents and the underhanded tactics they've used against him. Interestingly, though, Amicus's reaction doesn't stem from indifference or lack of care for Marco's well-being. It's due to Amicus's indoctrination and personal belief that the parents are nothing but a shining pinnacle of goodness. Now, under normal circumstances, this sort of conflict between faiths would be difficult enough, even if it was more philosophical in nature. But these are not normal circumstances. The parents are demonstrably real, active, and have been targeting Marco for as of yet unknown reasons. And the wolves have built their entire culture around their own self-serving interpretation of what these living deities stand for. So why do I say self-serving? Well, during Marco's previous conversation with the Monitor mentions that the wolves' warlike mentality has led them to inaccurately believe that the parents are competing with each other, while implying that they're actually working together towards a common goal, one that at least Marco and presumably the rest of the human race is soon going to be a part of. The sort of mental gymnastics that the wolves are doing actually reminds me of modern evangelical Christianity and how it bears little resemblance to the teachings of the figurehead they claim to follow. From praying in public, to making money from places of worship, to being rich, and being hostile towards people who are different from you. These people embrace the opposite of everything Yeshua, aka Jesus, supposedly stood for. Likewise, the wolves are turning their children into slaves, abandoning them, are starting wars with their siblings, and have upset their parents' plans so much that they've been forced to intervene. Again, after having failed in their first attempt. Wouldn't it be weird if humanity's gods were that involved in our business? Actually, what if I told you that the parents are humanity's gods? They're very Old Testament, but not in the way one may initially think. Essentially, the Old Testament is a retelling and remixing of a bunch of much older stories. It takes a bunch of pre-existing gods and goddesses, merges them into one highly emotional, unstable, and homicidal being, then changes the names of all the supporting characters. It's kind of like what 50 Shades of Grey is to Twilight. Monetizing fanfiction is not a new thing. So, what are these old stories? The Twilight to our 50 Shades? For my purposes here, the real-world specifics don't really matter. But in the Adastran universe, Earth was visited by a variety of aliens, and its cultures and religions were all shaped by these sibling species. Species who also hold the parents as gods. So, that said, it looks like the most influential ancient human religions and gods were all based on ancient human interpretations of the sibling races' interpretations of what the parents are to their cultures. So, boom! Earth gods are the fucking parents too. So yeah, all this to say that Marco is going to have quite the tightrope to walk with Amicus. As someone who's not been indoctrinated and thus can look at the situation with a more critical eye, Marco understands that he's being manipulated by forces neither he nor the wolves understand, and he is rightfully concerned by that. While Amicus simply goes about never questioning anything, and even goes so far as to admit he feels like he was meant to find Marco, which technically he was, but this sort of mindset is particularly insidious because it absolves individuals from any feeling of wrongdoing. After all, a kidnapping, or murder, or genocide, or going to war with your sibling species can't be all bad if it's God's will, right? And that's the danger of blind faith and offloading critical thinking onto others. The wolves go to war with the Chemians, despite the fact that it's the opposite of what the parents want. But due to their blind faith in their own interpretation of the parents, they are completely self-assured in their might-is-right circular logic, even going so far as to convince themselves that they're the real victims in all of this. Reminding me of the modern evangelical persecution complex, actually. Now, it may sound like I'm defending the parents by criticizing wolven hypocrisy, but I'm not. one does not have to be good for the other to be bad. I trust the parents as much as I trust any other god, which is to say, not at all. They are all the same thing, after all. Okay, so I've revised this draft like 3 times now, and all of my ideas still feel like a mess, but I'm literally out of time, so that's as good as it's gonna get. Sorry if anything I've tried to explain is unclear. Moving on, couple random thoughts left. We finally get a peek behind Neferu's facade, and it's sad. He's a sad boy. We also have the reveal that Kato was the one who killed the previous emperor via sabotage, implying he's been plotting this takeover for quite a while. Now, with one royal assassination under his belt, he's become a far more dangerous antagonistic force than we'd previously been shown. The real question now is, what's Kato gonna do next? Find out, maybe, for sure eventually, in one of the next episodes of Adastra. If you enjoyed this video, remember to give it a like, share it with your fellow degenerates, and leave a comment for the almighty YouTube algorithm. And remember to subscribe, damn it! Until next time, thanks for watching.
I can't wait to... Being stuck behind these walls is not how the emperors breed a... Well, emperors shouldn't have things near their butt.
Oh boy.